The Pogues is a band that has made a few controversial songs, and mostly because of their sympathies for Ireland and Irish nationalism.
They are Irish.
Yeah, so, but in the modern age, that's not the problem. The problem is, of course, political correctness, because they're not politically correct, because times have changed. And the most famous one being, how do you pronounce it? I think it's Fairy Tale in New York.
Yep.
That's the name. So it has a lyric which I don't think we can say.
We can't say, but for anyone who doesn't know, Fairy Tale in New York is an old, like from the 80s or something, an old but very famous Pogue song that gets played in pubs all across the country as Christmas comes around, because it's a Christmas song.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad song, apart from the guy singing, which is atrocious, generally. And he sounds like a drunk, and he uses what I guess we'll call the F word. In it.
Sounds like a drunk. That's just the Irish accent.
No, that's not fair. He just particularly sounds bad.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it uses the F word.
So this has been in the news because if you can get the first tweet up, Radio 1 has decided they're not going to air the song. And this is played every Christmas in Britain.
Yeah.
I don't know how popular it is in the United States or elsewhere.
Probably not, but it's definitely a British thing.
Yeah, so the band wakes up to this. If you can put the next one on. Yeah, that's the BBC reporting on Radio 1. He's just like, morning. This is how I'm going. So this is a smaller group, but they're saying they're not going to play it because it offends LGBT feelings, I'm guessing, because it has the word in it. But
okay.
I don't even know if it's used to refer to him as being a homosexual, because that word can be used in multiple instances and has been for different things throughout history.
Yeah, people outside of America should probably try and remember that it actually doesn't just mean homosexual. And I mean, it didn't.
It can mean cigarette, bundle of sticks,
It can mean a form of food. But, like, unironically, I could go down to our local supermarket and get some F words.
Yeah.
A box of F words. And I could eat them, and they might be delicious. I've never actually had them, to be honest.
I've had them. They're quite
Are they
good.
right? Yeah, I bet
just
they
some pepper.
Yeah. What are they? Meat and...
Yeah, they're just like meatballs.
Yeah, meatballs, right.
The F words.
Yeah, but but Californian imperial hegemony being what it is, I can't even name this food on the stream. So
isn't this the weird kind of American imperialism?
Yes.
That in Britain we have this word for other things and we just can't say it on this website.
Yep.
Because the Californians don't understand.
Yep.
They actually had a song censored because it was perceived that they were supporting terrorism. So under antiterrorism legislation, the government said we're not playing this on national radio because it was supporting 6 Irishmen who were arrested after a bombing in Birmingham. This back when we had
this would be an IRA terrorist attack. Yeah.
Except the funny thing is they're singing this song in support of those men, saying they're wrongfully convicted, and they get censored. Right? 1990, it was proven that these men had nothing to do with it.
Right. Okay.
They had to give a payout. It was between £800,000 to £1 million for each one of them for being convicted for that long on nothing. So they tried to go after it in 2007. The same channel,
the
Radio
same
1.
words. The S word and the F word.
Yeah, I guess they're not going after the S word anymore.
No. But that was adopted by the feminists, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's now part of the march.
Yeah.
I think we can say that one.
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, I mean, it's not a slur, is it? It's been reclaimed.
But the public backlash to this was apparently immense, and Radio 1 buckled, and they said, okay, fine, we'll play the song.
Yep.
I think I remember
it's a very popular song.
But I can go listen to it, it's great. But this time they're not going to. And what I found interesting is we can get Laurence Fox's first tweet up. Is Laurence Fox, rising star in the UK, talking a lot about free speech.
Founder of, was it Reclaim UK or
Reclaim UK?
Reclaim UK, yeah.
The political party.
Yeah, so but for anyone who doesn't know who Laurence Fox is, he's a British actor. Recently went on, it was Question Time, wasn't it? Had a confrontation with a woke professor and just told her that saying that his white privilege was an inherent racial advantage was racist, which it is.
Well, he tried to give his opinion on something, and she said, that's invalid because you're a white privileged male.
Yeah.
And he just turned around and went, right, that's a racist statement. You're being racist.
Which is true.
That was his crime for saying that she was being a racist.
But then, since then, Laurence Fox has become an anti-PC culture warrior in the most sardonic mould, which I fully approve of course. And honestly, I think he's doing a great job. So I'm so glad that he's continuing to go out there and call all of this stuff out. As you can see here we go again. The cultural commissars at the BBC are telling you what is and isn't appropriate for your ignorant little ears. Wouldn't it be nice if we sent the proper version to the top of the charts? Hashtag defund the BBC. So Laurence Fox is standing up against censorship.
Exactly.
In favour of the Pogues.
If this was the 70s talking about that song about the IRA, I think it might have been the 80s, they'd be on the same side.
Yep.
And 2007, they were probably on the same side.
Yep.
Laurence Fox probably was talking to his mates about it in 2007, right? We can get the next one up. This was the Pogues' response to him. F off, you little heron volk S word. And Herrenvolk means, I think it's Übermensch.
Does it?
Is the translation. So yeah, the master race. So they're calling him
What?
a Nazi. Just unironically, you're a Nazi for supporting free speech in our favour.
98,000 likes.
Ridiculous.
Unreal. Step on us harder, Daddy. That's what they're saying. Laurence Fox. I don't think the Pogues should be censored. The Pogues, shut up, you Nazi!
But the Pogues are saying they shouldn't be censored as well. So
until the Nazi says it, and then censor us harder.
So Laurence Fox had a great put down for this, which is the next one. Just their lyrics back at them.
Which we can't read.
No, we're not allowed to.
Okay, all right, let's move on.
But this is a nice little story because it's I don't know if they're SJWs, but typically ignorant to call him master race in response, getting dabbed on for just being morons.
It's mental.
But what was interesting is this week's the Adam Smith Institute has promoted the idea of having a free speech act. I thought I might tie this in because I know this is social censorship by the BBC and small groups, but there is
the spirit of the thing.
Yeah, there is some good news at least on the legislative front, which is my understanding is this is being supported by the Free Speech Union. It's being pushed into conservative circles, and I'm hoping they take it up, or at least they definitely should. And it's a rewriting of Britain's speech codes because our speech codes are nonsense. So you don't have to keep it up because I'm just going to take some quotes from the actual report. So the British, how they describe our situation in the UK, which I think is great. British speech code is designed to protect the heckler, not the speaker. It protects the offended, not those who would cause offence. Speech which would be legal among friends, like-minded individuals, or simply people with a higher tolerance for ideas with which they disagree, becomes unlawful in the United Kingdom upon first contact with a person who objects to its content. Totally true. Because the Public Order Act, the Malicious Communication Act,
all the hate speech laws,
and Communication Act of 2003.
They're all based on subjective offence.
They're all based on insults, offence, or abusive words, which can mean whatever you want. And I suppose in the 80s, I wasn't around, the idea of abusing someone with your words meant harassing them or stalking them, or would have had that kind of connotation. Whereas today, it's entirely...
It never came up.
Why would you...
I was only 10 years old when 9 years old when the 80s ended or whatever, so... But
for the 90s, the laws were still there.
I guess, but it just never came up.
Just never even a big issue.
No.
Whereas now, of course, it's used by SJWs to go after anyone and everyone. So their solution is just reword all of that. Instead of making it offensive, abusive, blah, blah, blah. Just say threatening. Just say threatening or harassment. Because that isn't protected speech in any Western nation that values liberalism or free speech, because
it's intimidation.
Yeah, you're actually going to harm the person here. So if you're calling for their death or anything, right?
Yeah.
Great. And then they proposed that we should have in the Free Speech Act, which would reform all this, we should have what do they call it? A Parliamentary Covenant. So this is an agreement that any new legislation will not break this. So, for example, the way the UK works, we have a Parliamentary Covenant on who becomes the Prime Minister. So it's the party with the biggest number of seats.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be. We doesn't even have to have the majority of seats to become Prime Minister. You can just pick a guy.
I guess you could.
But we have the covenant that, you don't do that because that would be ridiculous.
It's not very democratic.
Yeah, so this is how you get it, First Amendment in the UK. Yeah. And they go through all the legal arguments, and we're not going to read it because it's...
long and
read
tedious.
In your own time.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd promote it. I'm going to send this to my MP, ask him to start talking about it, send it to my Conservatives, because...
Yeah.
They should adopt this.
Yeah, the Conservatives unironically should, and you might want to send it to your Conservative MP. You can find their email address just on the Parliament website. Just search for your local MP. You'll be able to get their email address, and generally MPs are pretty good, actually, at responding to all this sort of stuff. So, at least responding to an email that you'll send them.
Yeah, they might make 2 months, but they'll get back.
Yeah, so...
But there's also some funny stuff here that I thought I'd read. So, describing the Law Commission, which is something we covered on another episode, in which they were saying, what was it, grossly offensive cartoons or inflammatory cartoons need to be banned. Of course, Charlie Hebdo, they're trying to ban that. So their response to what they're proposing is that terrorism is the most desperate form of the heckler's veto. Criminalizing expression that provokes terror in hopes that terror will be appeased is moral cowardice.
Correct.
Totally true. What are you doing? And then there's also the online harms bill, which is being promoted by Labour, in which they're talking about the fact that Zuck and Dorsey and all the rest of it have a duty of care to their users. So the idea is you're allowing misinformation or whatever, therefore you need to take care of your dear users. And they point out that this might be reasonable for when you're hiring a primary school teacher to have a duty of care over the people she's looking after. But for regulating all speech in society, I don't think it should be regulated on the same lines as a primary school teacher regulating children.
I just don't think Zuckerberg actually has the responsibility to regulate the speech of 2.6 billion people.
He doesn't have the right. Don't mind the responsibility.
Or the ability to do it.
Mm.
And any ability to do it is going to be vastly sweeping and is going to include so many false positives. Makes you wonder what was the point of doing it in the first place.
Yeah. But then I wonder with Silicon Valley, will they censor that song if they get wind of its existence? Or is
if it was, again, the cultural difference and the cultural divide. Californians probably have never heard of this song. It's probably not famous in California. Otherwise, it would have been banned decades ago, probably.
But that's the funny thing. With British law, the reason it's not illegal here is because we have a threshold, obviously, if something's published before. So, like, the Quran, for example, has an exemption, the Bible, all the rest of it.
Oh, that's lucky.
But, it's published before.
Mein Kampf, probably, too.
But if they publish...
And Karl Marx.
Yep.
And Martin Luther. Man, there's a lot of stuff that would fall out of acceptability if there wasn't this statute of limitations on it.
You've got to read Martin Luther at some point. It's hilarious.
I probably do.
Okay. Anyway, so the point I was going to make, if they published that song today, so if you decided at home, I'm going to make a song with that word or same kind of song, that would be a crime in the UK. Oh. If you publish that on the internet, you are breaking the Communications Act, and you can be sent to jail for it. Because it's not whether or not you intended to cause any offence or...
Yep.
Raise and racial tensions. It's just because someone else interpreted it. That's enough.
Oh, there we go. Britain is not a free country because of the perpetually offended.
Yeah, which is why we need this act to be passed.
Yes.